Today, I'm diving into some acrylic playtime. I really want to have a crack at doing some acrylics. So I've grabbed out Bruce, my A3 handmade sketchbook. I'm going to have a little bit of a play in here with my acrylic paints. We're going to use a limited palette. I'm also going to try out a different paper with some acrylic paints because I want to have a couple of A3 sketchbooks. So I'm going to try a different paper that I possibly won't turn into a sketchbook. And that I'm going to turn into some collage papers. So let's just get stuck into it, play around. Here's Bruce. We're going to pop him out. I called him Bruce because I love him. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. Boom. He's just so big that I have to zoom right out. We've got some random stuff around Allen key and stuff. So this is Bruce. Welcome, Bruce. Hi, Bruce. Here's my A3 sketchbook I made ages ago. A couple of years ago for my birthday, my partner gave me a roll of watercolor paper and I thought, I'm gonna make a massive sketchbook. And at the time, I actually had some A3 chipboard. So I thought, let's do it. Cool, funky material over it. So I've had Bruce for years. I did an Instagram post. I'll have to have a look how long ago that Instagram post was, but it was a while ago. So let's have a look. I haven't used him in years. I have not used Bruce in years. Bruce is like my favorite child, and he's very precious, which I think is why I've not used him, because I just don't want to use him up and then I've got no more Bruce. These two fabrics I used on the covers, here's a little story for you. I actually got both of them from a Craft Alive fair in Newcastle, probably about, gosh, how long ago was that? I think I still lived in Muswellbrook at the time, so it was probably 5 years ago, if not 6 or 7 years ago, a long time ago. And there was this vendor who had these most beautiful, brightly coloured fabrics, and I just had to get some. And at the time, I wasn't making handmade sketchbooks. At the time, I was a Collage consultant, so scrapbooking consultant. I used Coptic stick binding, and funnily enough, I actually think this thread that I used is actually from a Collage. They used to have waxed twine for sale. So I actually think that's where it was from, and it's actually really good thickness for bookbinding, just saying. Use Coptic stitch. Many years ago I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get into abstract artworks. But so I was just started playing around with doing some abstract. Really love Sandy Hester from YouTube, so started trying to do some semi-abstract landscapes. Sorry, a bug. This guy's been in my shed for a while. So I was just having a play around at trying to find my own style there. I started doing some bright, colourful portraits. This guy I actually really love. Bit of ink, bit of stuff. Because it's not very thick watercolour paper, but it is watercolour paper. It's 200 GSM. Playing around with colours. Oh, obviously that was charcoal. My bad. And then I was like, I go through phases where I really desperately want to become an illustrator. So I was like, can I turn this into a world? This little rainbow, but you know, it's here. Another idea for an illustration. This was like a setting for one of my illustrations and got like little caves and stuff with little worlds in it. I don't know, might turn into something. Then also went into like just doing some random shapes on a page to prepare for making worlds and things on top of it. I never kind of got back to it. This was just a study of a dog. I did a portrait of a dog portrait. So it was super fast, super quick, just to kind of get used to the shape of the dog's head. This, I don't know, I made this dog up. Again, trying to get illustrative. But then I kind of got just these random colourful pages like this in it. I'm actually thinking I might use this pink and yellow. Yeah, and further in the back, so there's a heap of blank pages. Further in the back, I've got some colour wheels. This was an exploration of doing some colour theory, doing some, what do you call it? Limited colour palettes. I kind of got into doing this with picking 3 random colours. And you'll see today, the colours I'm picking today not necessarily work together, but it's just my sketchbook, it's a play. So more blank pages, and in the back, this is upside down, but it was a black cockatoo, and I wanted to see what it would look like. I have a painting like this, but without the pink and yellow lines on it, and I just wanted to see what it would look like with the Posca pen over the top. And actually really, I thought it would look pretty cool. Yeah, some more coloured pages, I don't know why. Then I thought, oh, I'll do some watercolour. I didn't get very far. That's meant to be a fish. Maybe I'll add to it. That's a cow, which you can kind of see. More blank pages. I sometimes pick it up and I'll pick random pages. I don't remember what this was about. Maybe using up leftover paints, or maybe I use this as a paint palette. I'm not sure, but I'll turn it into some artwork one day. And then right at the back here, some more playing with some colours, but I kind of swatched out every acrylic paint I had. It was going to be a YouTube video, that one. I don't know where the footage went, sorry, but it was a long time ago. So I'm actually gonna go back to those pages, these two here. I recently discovered an artist, Helen Wells. I discovered her on Instagram. I was kind of just flicking through looking for inspiration, and I saw like a flip through of her sketchbook, and then I went, oh, I wonder if she's got a YouTube. Found her on YouTube, and she so vibes me. Her messages are very similar to mine about getting rid of perfectionism and creativity. I call it ugly art, but she does a lot of sketchbook work, and I thought, and she was the inspiration for me getting out my Bruce. And you know what, like I thought, I'm just gonna pick these two pages because they're just solid, but I'm actually not picking pink and purple in my color palette. So I've got here an alizarin crimson. These colors might pop through a little bit, probably not though. And I wanted just a plain yellow, like a lemon yellow. So I've got this one's nearly empty, so I picked it up and I was like, and then I grabbed the my Liquitex heavy body acrylic. I think it's Cad Yellow Light, so it's a very similar yellow. And then if I run out, I've got this here, which is Yellow Mid by Holbein. I started doing this thing where I picked 3 colours, and I can't remember whose idea. I think it was an Aussie painter. I'll pop her name somewhere on the screen here. I'll do some research and I'll find her, and I'll link her video down below. She said you pick a pink, you pick a yellow, you pick a blue. The yellow doesn't have to be yellow, the pink doesn't have to be pink. Like my red might be actually orange, or my yellow might actually be green. And I originally picked up this green gold to use as my yellow, but here's my but. I really wanted to use yellow in this illustration. So I still have my green gold. I'm not sure exactly. And then I did pick up a blue. Oh yeah, I got this Holcroft ultramarine. I just want to start using up my acrylics because I think they're wasting away and drying out sitting in my cupboard. So I got some paintbrushes. I got this cool Chinese paintbrush. I got this really dodgy one, which I've obviously not looked after very well. So that, yeah, cool. And I'm just going to see, I'm actually going to get a bigger paintbrush as well. I've got all sorts of things. I've got a palette knife here. I've got a cloth that I'm going to smoosh some paint around and stuff too. I'm having a play with some colour and stuff. So I've got these. I also grabbed a darker blue, this indigo, blue-black indigo, as my dark. It's a dark. I'm not going to use it straight away. And I do have a white here. I've got another Holcroft white. I'm actually going to play around with, on this page, which is going to be the sketchbook page, I'm actually going to play around with mixing these colours on the page here. This is still going to be ugly art. This is why I'm in my sketchbook, because sketchbooks are so important. I've also got this paper. So I love Artex paper. They come in A2 pads. That's what I like about it, because I can either leave that whole as an artwork, or I can fold it in half and make an amazing sketchbook. I have literally, oh look, there's some of my charcoal drawings in there. I've literally only got 2 more sheets of this. I'm going to paint on them to see how they go with the paint, and if it holds up well with the acrylic paint, I might make another A3 sketchbook out of paper. Just going to see how it goes. I've also got some cartridge paper I'm going to paint on as well. So the idea is I'm going to do the background on here, and then I'm going to do some birds painted on here that I'm going to collage onto here. Maybe do some flowers and stuff too. We'll just see how I go. Yeah, let's go. Let's get stuck in. All right, let's go. So I'm just going to put down some colours. So that's my alizarin crimson. Some green gold. I'm going to put some white out. Oh, this one's never been used. Wow, cool. Some white. Put a fair bit of white. I always go through white. This is that black indigo. I'd like to see what that's like, a bit lighter. And some yellow. Hello, hello, future Courtney here. So I am literally just popping that paint down on the paper. I am mixing them together. You can see I've just mixed that alizarin crimson with that olive, popped a bit of the blue in there. Later on you'll see I actually made quite a nice neutral brownish colour using those colours. So, yeah, here it is. Look, there you go. Ooh, I put a bit of white in there. That gets pretty much completely covered up. This is also a bit of just a reminder to use your paints. You can see the ultramarine. I managed to get a little bit out of it, but pretty much that whole jar is just dried up. They're not sacred. Use them up. There's no point. It's more of a waste if they dry out and then you can never use them. Use the good stuff. I promise you won't regret it. So yeah, I kind of have a bit of an idea of where I want this picture to go. This at this point is just me playing around with colour, mixing those colours, seeing what works, what doesn't, and generally getting a bit of a colour into the background. You can also see that I had a bit of a play to see what greens I could make with yellow and the olive, but also the yellow and that indigo. So yeah, at this point I'm trying to decide whether I need to introduce another blue or not, or whether that indigo is enough of a blue for my colour palette. I do have here a cerulean blue hue. I was going to substitute it in, but then I thought I'm just going to see what type of green I can make with just this blue black indigo, and actually I really like the green that I made. So I was like, well, with that, with the yellow, so that blue black indigo is now my blue. And actually I did actually add some white to it. I actually made some nice blues and stuff too. So I'm going to let this dry, and we're going to get the old paper out to try do some birds. So this is like, yeah, it's sketch paper. It's a sketch pad by Atelier. Not Atelier, what is it? Artec. So yeah, I've got some reference photos of some birds. Today I'm not actually going to share with you my reference photos of these birds. There's a couple of reasons. The first is just that they're not my photos to share. I will tell you where I got them from, and if you want to go and grab them, you are more than welcome to. The place I get most of my photos is from Holly Cannon's Patreon that I'm a subscriber for. I think it's like I pay $1.50 or something a month, and she has so many great photos. So worth it. The other two places are free, and they're just Facebook groups. One's free reference photos for artists, and the other is free reference photos for animal artists. And you can jump on and you can contribute, you can use photos. You just have to make sure you say who the artist is. So when you can see I've printed out the photos and laminated them. On the back of there, I've actually written down who the photos are from. There's also a free landscape Facebook group that I'm part of too. So my apologies, didn't realise my camera stopped filming at this point. Whoops. Also, I caved and I added some cerulean. I felt like I needed a really nice bright blue, especially for that lorikeet there. And let me tell you, I think it was the best decision of my life. Well, maybe not that. That's a bit extreme. But I think it was a very good decision to do that. So my goal is to just try and paint these birds with as few brush strokes, making them nice and loose and expressive as best I can, trying not to put too much little details in. And to be honest with you, I really love how that lorikeet turned out. I think I talk about it a bit later as well, so I won't go into it too much here. And because I introduced that cerulean, I've now gone back to using the indigo as a black rather than a blue. So you'll see I start adding a little bit later some details around the eye and eyes and things like that in that indigo blue instead of a black. Here it is. Haha! Knew it was happening. So now that my background is dry on in my sketchbook, I decided to go back and add some more cerulean blue and those greens just to make it really cohesive, because if there was no cerulean blue in the background, those birds might look really out of place. So I'm just putting a little bit of cerulean blue on a cerulean blue green into that background. I really wanted it more greenish anyway, so I just start building up those layers. So you may have just seen I did start with a brush that was way too small, and I had to go to a larger brush just to get those big blocks of colour in there. So now I'm going to start adding some kind of semi-abstract leaf shapes in there. I don't want it to be super detailed. I just want to have the hints of kind of the Australian bush, like a gum tree. These birds are going to be sitting in this gum tree. So it's time to just let it all dry and start cutting out my birds to glue onto my page. And as I was cutting, I started realizing I needed some more flowers, and I kind of only had those two little flowers down the bottom. So I decided to add some pink in here, just pink paper that I could cut out some flowers for later. So that's what I'm doing here. I also roughly cut out the birds first before fussy cutting around each of them, especially when I'm working in a really large piece of paper like this. It's just so much easier to fussy cut when you've just got that small piece of paper to contend with rather than the whole entire sheet. So that's kind of what I'm doing here when I'm kind of cutting them out really roughly. Also then, when I do actually cut out them or fussy cut around the birds, I'm still not being perfect. So I think that adds to my whole ugly art. I didn't want things to be cut or painted perfectly. Started adding some details to the bird using like a fine liner pen, and I ended up abandoning this because I felt like I was just starting to get a bit too tight, which kind of went against everything that I was trying to do here. So I abandoned the fine liner pen. I think I captured the bird without it anyway, and the fine liner just added nothing to it. It's bird arranging time. I'm just putting down these birds, seeing what works, where can I put them. Looking back now, watching me do this, I do kind of wish a couple of things. I should have used just one of those budgies. I feel like that side is too bird heavy. I wish I had to just use one of the budgies. Also, I wish I had to use more flowers. You can see I cut out a couple of flowers just out of that pink bit, but I should have done more of them so I could have layered them up and maybe even collaged a couple of leaves in there as well. So now I've kind of generally got it sorted where I'm going to put it all. I'm actually going to use just matte medium. This is matte medium to glue them down. I'm not being too precious, yeah, trying to get all of it glued, but it is just my sketchbook after all. Goodness, what do you think? I am actually loving it. I think it looks really cool. I like the whole idea that I've used this really quite abstract background with, I'll hold this up like this, the abstract background with the semi-abstract birds, and just like some of these like little flowers, these little gum flowers from gum trees. There's a couple of trees around that have these little cute little pink blossoms on them. Yeah, I actually really like how that's turned out. This guy is my favorite. I've had this reference photo from one of the Facebook groups I mentioned of this bird, this lorikeet coming into land, and never really known what to do, but look, actually looks like it's coming into land. I really think that's cool, but it's still got that very semi-abstract feel to it. Thanks for joining me. Hope you love this. Hope this inspired you to get your sketchbook out, have a go, get into it. Sketchbooks to make ugly art. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Thanks. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Love you, legends.